welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Melanie Williams, and if you have been with me for a while, you know that my family and I are very big fans of growing our own food. We have grown tomatoes, potatoes, courgettes, cucumbers, aubergines, I could go on. We've even grown kidney beans. So today is going to be slightly different. I want to take you with me to a couple who grow most of their own food, and they use the back of their house as well as their front garden. So let's get right into the video. So what do we have here?
So this is actually a compost bin. So in there we'll be putting in any waste from the garden, from the kitchen, so banana skins and potato peels and carrot tops and everything else go in there. Yeah. We mix with that any weeds from the garden minus any flowers on them, so they can't put in seeds. We put in any shreddings from any pruning we do of the shrubs and things, mix it all together with a bit of soil. Right. The bacteria in the soil go into all the rest of that. The worms do the rest. Whenever we see a worm when we dig in, we pop it into the compost bin. And that turns into this stuff. This is what we dug out earlier. Oh wow. So that is compost from last year. All we've added to this to make it a bit lighter, we've added a bit of the white, the perlite. And that's very nice for potting on everything we do. What does perlite do? Perlite, this white stuff, it's basically lava, and it's been expanded, a bit like Rice Krispies, a rice that's been puffed. But that makes the soil lighter. It holds water better, but it also is lighter, so it doesn't put so much pressure on the roots, and they grow better. So this one goes to the next one to fill. This one's just been filled. We've topped it up with a few inches of soil. And that will then be plantable. So over here we've got one that's being planted up. This has got potatoes growing through, really from the potato peelings and the potatoes with eyes and things. You know, if you've got any that haven't really been eaten fast enough. Run of beans. You see the radishes coming there. I've just put a couple of courgettes in today. Smudgy, hush. Hush, little puppy. Yes. You want a cuddle as well, don't you? Just like your sister. I can't give you both a cuddle. Two courgettes in there, and they're growing in the goodness of the compost underneath and helping them to help it mulch down. The fascinating thing is we'll have a compost thief. This will drop at least a foot as it decomposes and all the vegetation gets eaten by worms and so on. This will drop at least a foot or two. Over here we've got potatoes again. So this is your polytunnel? The polytunnel. Did you build it yourself? Or? We made this ourselves, yes. Wow. You can buy the polythene, of course, you can buy the hoops and put the whole thing together. So we did that again. We're using the recycled plastic for the raised beds inside. Much more environmentally friendly in a sense, because they've been made from old bottles, old plastic bottles and things. They're more environmentally friendly than having treated wood. These galvanized zinc lattices are very useful for two ways. One is they keep the dogs from climbing all over and digging. And the second is they're ready-made support for peas and such like on the outside. So here we've got some peas growing quite happily. In the middle we've got the mitsuna and radishes, runner beans, lettuces, tomatoes. Over here we've got again a courgette. And here's a pickup stick to pick up litter when we go for dog walks. So we do a multi-purpose walk. Exercise plus social awareness sort of thing. You'll see this stick. The sticks have all come from our front hedge. We've got a hazel hedge at the front. We get 20 or so kilograms a year, which is quite a lot of hazelnuts. A big container full. That's amazing. Each year. And then what we do is we cut a quarter of it down each year when it's got up to about 20 foot high, and that's the sticks for runner beans and everything else. So we don't have to borrow, don't really get any bamboos and things.
Oh, wow.
And that then means it doesn't get too big.
Yeah.
I'm not climbing at my height
Mm.
age any further. So now here we've got some nasturtiums growing. Got some nasturtiums, as you know, the flowers here, the leaves here, are really good in salads.
Okay.
And then the flowers also go in
Salad.
in salad.
Wow, that's good.
So we have these really for eating. A lot of stuff in here will self-set. So in here we had mitsuna, we had cabbage, we have had carrots, calendula, nasturtiums. So a lot of things in here are self-seeding. There's a lamb's lettuce there and there and there. So they're self-set. We deliberately leave one or two to self-set because it's really, really easy to seed.
Okay.
And you don't have to do anything other than let nature take its course.
Right.
This one here was purple sprouting. The purple sprouting has sprouted. We're deliberately leaving a couple. These flowers will turn into seed heads.
Okay.
And then we'll have purple sprouting in here next autumn and winter.
Yeah.
So no need to plant anything. We wait for nature to plant it for us.
Okay.
That's boringly lazy, isn't it? Dahlias grow. You pinch out. Here's a dahlia growing here. Here's a dahlia growing. So I pinched this bit part here out and put it in there as a cutting.
Okay.
And then you'll end up with another dahlia.
Okay.
So this dahlia with the top pinched out then becomes more bushy. So you get a bushy dahlia rather than a long spindly thing. And you very often get 2 or 3 more dahlias out of it.
Okay.
So do you know what these are?
No.
Any idea what these might be?
No.
Well, they'll grow up to this height.
Oh, wow.
They'll grow up taller than me,
Yeah.
around about 7 or 8 foot.
Okay.
And they'll have a small sunflower head.
Oh, okay.
And that turns to face the sun,
Oh.
like a sunflower. And it's called Jerusalem.
Oh, wow. Really?
So these are Jerusalem artichokes.
Okay.
They die down in winter. It dig up the tubers, which look like very knobbly potatoes.
Yeah.
Bloody. Thank you. And so, yes, you have plenty of Jerusalem artichokes. Here, there's a couple packed full in the making.
Oh, wow.
And then you leave some in the soil and they grow again the next year.
Oh, wow. That's
it's
so good.
This is a good screen for the neighbours so they can't see the bins.
Yeah.
And it's good for us because in autumn we then have the Jerusalem artichoke tubers to cook. Here, it's just coming out. That can go on a salad as garnish.
Oh, okay.
But if you taste it, if you like aniseed or licorice,
oh.
some people do, others don't. Chanel definitely doesn't. She's tried it and realised why, because it tastes very, very, very strongly of
licorice.
Well, try it and you'll see.
Do I just bite
Yeah,
it?
just bite it, yeah.
I like it.
Right.
Oh, wow. I can taste the licorice.
Licorice. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I like this.
Yeah.
What is it called?
This is a fennel.
Fennel. It's
Fennel.
fennel.
Yeah. And so it's a lovely feathery architectural sort of plant, but really good for the salads and so on as well. The only thing is, keep pinching these top bits out, it'll get more bushy. Good excuse for having them in your salad every time. And then it won't get too tall and too bushy. And don't let it seed unless you want 1,000 more.
Okay. So it's better to put it in a pot.
It's better in a pot, away from where it's going to seed everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. One is a
pretty.
sorrel.
Ah!
Yeah. So this is sorrel. If you want one of these, take it with you.
Oh, yes,
We've
please.
planted this because we've got various friends who've asked can we have some sorrel.
Yeah.
And that again, it's a very beautiful architectural thing on a plate of salad. And of course it tastes good as well. So, and it self-seeds, it just spreads from year to year. And so again, it's very, very easy to look after. Like, you don't have to look after it.
Okay.
You just pick it as it's small and eat it as and when.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's dead easy.
Brilliant.
You'll see the baby conference pears.
Okay.
Yeah, a little pear tree. This is only on its 3rd year.
Oh, so they don't fruit like the first year then?
The first 2 or 3 years they don't, but
Okay.
this is now... Last year we had two pairs on it.
Right.
This year we'll probably have 10. The following it'll be 20 or 30.
Okay.
And the following we'll wonder how to do with all the pears. Now, yes, you can get them. You can get quite a few fruit trees on a different rootstock.
Okay.
It's a good idea to get them on semi-dwarf rootstock.
Okay.
Dwarf rootstock tends to be so miserly, you never get something big enough to manage to produce that much fruit unless you're really, really feeding it a lot.
Feeding it with fertiliser?
Fertilisers, yes.
Okay.
But semi-dwarf, that will take a tree that goes up to about 8 or 10 foot, which isn't too stupidly big. You're not having to get a ladder out, and it doesn't grow so rampantly, having to get an axe to it after a bit.
Okay.
So this is chard, and of course we use it rather like spinach.
Yeah.
You'll notice this is going to seed, and quite deliberately going to seed. Then we've got our own fresh seed when we want it. I'll just put this into an area of raised bed, and it will then self-set a few more chives for next year. Chives here. It's certainly worth growing chives.
Right.
The flowers are edible as well as the chive itself. Okay. But don't use the stem as a chive flower, because that's very, very stringy by then.
Right, okay.
But they grow well. Here's another blueberry here.
Oh, lovely. Probably 20 years. 20 years? How much about? No, about 18 years.
You're growing it for turtle soup?
Terrapin. It's a terrapin.
Oh, terrapin, right. Okay. Right, now you'll notice from here you've got a fig tree.
Okay.
And these are really... Sorry? Yeah. Yeah?
Sorry, I'm in my element here.
Now you'll see there's a fig that will ripen during August and September, and we'll be eating brown turkey figs in late September into October. Stay green, they won't go ripe, in which case you make them into psychoglyco, which is a Greek delicacy. You basically boil them repeatedly and then boil them in sugar until you basically have a well-cooked fig in a syrup. And that's a traditional Greek delicacy ready for Christmas.
Okay. Sorry, can you repeat when they're ready?
So, okay, so if it's a nice hot summer, these will turn dark brown and they're called brown turkey figs. Really, really lovely, straight off the bush. They start to be really soft. And they are gorgeous. But if it's a bad summer, like we sometimes get in the UK, and they'll stay green, flatly will not ripen. And at the end of, into the middle of October really, we then pick all of these that are still green. They won't overwinter, the frost will get them. So we then cook them several times in fresh water, fresh boiling water repeated about 4, 5, 6 times. When they're soft, we then boil them again in a syrup solution, and you end up bottling them or jarring them as sweet syrup figs, or in Greek, psychoglyco. So basil and tomato really is a typical combination, like fish and chips. And again, you'll notice we're letting it flower. We want the seeds, and then I'll be putting this in a bed of seed compost, and it will grow the next.
I think ours is doing that as well. So you leave it, and do they dry it out?
So I'm letting these turn into seed heads.
Yeah.
They will then naturally seed.
And then just pick them up.
And then, well, I'll plant this in an area where I want it to grow.
Yeah.
Or some of this I will put, when it's starting to drop out, I'll put into an envelope. And then I've got fresh seed for next year.
Wow.
These here, you know what these are?
These are lovely.
Yeah, these are calendula. And what we do with this is we'll pick it, and then you've got your place of salad, and you use this, just drop the leaves all over the salad. It's like confetti. It's perfectly edible.
Yeah.
And you've got these lovely
It's really pretty.
little orange petals all over the salad.
I'm going to get some of these. I like this.
Yeah, you've got plenty of these spot. And seed. And it self-seeds as well. So let it seed where you want it to follow here, and you win.
Wow. Oh, that's so pretty.
We've got another fig here, another fig over there, another fig around the corner, another in the car park.
Wow.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very rare are that dwarf mulberry.
Okay.
There's a mulberry bush, a dwarf one, and you can just see here when dwarf mulberries are just starting to form here. You see, they look very hairy to begin with, and they'll be ready in end of August, thereabouts.
Okay. Oh.
So that is your sage to go with the onion, to make your sage and onion stuffing. So there's the rosemary. And as I say, pinch the tops out. What I do like with the rosemary is I take these bits and chop them and put them in an air fryer with potatoes that are being diced.
Yeah.
So it's a rosemary flavoured roast potatoes in air fryer.
Yeah.
And that goes really well. So
Oh, might do that tomorrow.
yes, try that. Yes. So we always take these tops out to make it bush.
Yeah.
And use these inside with potatoes in the air fryer. So. And then a month later it's ready to get topped out again.
Okay.
That, dipped in compound and then planted, that will turn into a rosemary.
Wow.
So you take cuttings of this.
Amazing.
Yeah, about 4 or 5 years ago, more fool me, I did about 100 of these in case some took. I ended up with 80 rosemary plants.
Wow.
Little tomatoes in hanging baskets. They catch more sun that way. They're out of the way of pests and predators. Like bugs. We shouldn't eat tomatoes, it's not very bad for them.
Right.
They get so much more sun, so we find we have a good crop just from the hanging baskets.
So
But we also have the bigger tomatoes on the, in the pots.
Yeah.
Now you've got the nasturtium here earlier.
Oh, so pretty.
We saw how these leaves taste slightly peppery, and these make good salad.
Okay.
But you can also pick the flowers. Take the stem there off, and that then goes onto the plate, and that's lovely garnish, which is also totally edible.
Okay.
Yeah?
Oh wow.
Yeah? Tastes nice.
Yeah.
In the last 3 weeks. So it grows very quickly,
Yeah.
and again, you get really dense tops like these here. So this is the bit I would put on a plate here as the garnish, but it's a very strong licorice sort of flavour.
Yeah.
Just check whoever's eating that they like licorice.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you like licorice, this will be raspberry.
Oh, okay.
So we've got a good crop here and a crop there of raspberry.
Yeah.
You know what this stuff is down here?
Do you know, this is not what... rhubarb.
Rhubarb, that's it. We've got a load of rhubarb. We've got about 14 varieties of rhubarb. Now, you'll see there's a parsley here. If you're going to seed, we want some parsley in this bed for next year.
Yeah.
And same with this one here, we'll let you go to seed. So we'll have our own parsley supply ready-made without any effort.
Okay.
What is it?
So how long do you spend in the garden?
Not that long, because we've got so many other things to do.
Oh, okay.
I suppose it averages out at less than an hour a day.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
See, we had some of this, and I didn't know what it was.
This one?
Yeah, this red one.
Chard.
Chard,
Yes.
okay.
Chard.
Okay.
Now, so the chard, we're going to seed, and we will have more chard here next year.
I haven't got a clue. This one, is that lettuce or some
This
sort?
one, that's actually poppy.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just pretty.
Right,
If they
okay.
grow it to here, and they have a big double purple poppy
Right.
in the middle. All the rest of the poppies we're putting out, they start off.
Okay.
If you look at these, you've got very pretty flowers, and they're starting to turn into something you must recognise these.
that gooseberries?
Not gooseberries, no.
Strawberries.
So this one is sage.
Sage.
As in sage and onion. But this is flowering. It just looks pretty. So we have some sage that we don't let flower. We keep pinching this out.
Okay.
And we keep that for the leaves, for the sage and onion.
Yeah.
And we have some that just flowers. And we can then use this to make cuttings if we ever needed more, say, plants.
Okay.
Then we've got the grapevine here.
Right.
And grape leaves. You can have stuff of that grape leaves and wrapping up with a parcel of that flavoured bit of rice in the middle. It's very traditional Middle Eastern.
Okay.
Yeah. You can see up here, I've got to do some pruning of this grapevine. Yeah. We've got far too many grapes starting to grow. Look, these are a bunch of the grapes.
Okay.
In the bacon. So you've got all the bits and pieces of there's some rhubarb leaves. There's various bits out from the garden.
Yeah.
Any pots that emptied out we pour in there as well. Just been covered over like the one we saw earlier.
Yeah.
And notice it's got some radishes growing in it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, radishes. This is almost bursting out the soil, look.
Wow.
There we are.
Wow. That's lovely.
And then the next one, there's got, again, potato crop.
So basically, you do not go to the grocery store to get vegetables?
Well, no, we do sweet potato, for example.
Okay.
Don't grow terribly well in this country. We've got all the water off the roof. All the water off this part of the roof comes into this tank, just as further around we saw the other tanks around the house. All the tanks mean we don't have any rainwater going into the drains. So we're on a plum tree.
Yeah.
This one has been affected by sawfly. Can you see? A lot of the leaves have been eaten.
Right, okay.
Now we could have treated it, but we didn't want to, because you'll see there on that end post there, one bird box, and there's a family of blue tits live there, and the blue tits have been going from there to here to pick the sawfly larvae up, going straight back to feed the babies, and it's been a non-ending succession of blue tits being fed from the local tree.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, it's a bit like having a McDonald's on tap. Only 3 inches wide, just enough to get flag irises in, but that in summer is flag irises, and then in spring you have the crocuses and the snowdrops.
Okay.
So that's got about 4 or 5 lots of plants in that very narrow gap. It's only literally 3-4 inches wide. Here on this trellis we've got cordoned discovery apple.
Okay.
You see loads of apple on there now. That's doing quite nicely.
Yeah.
These will grow, of course, over the next month or two. Chanel will have the excitement of seeing them all growing between now and when we start picking them.
Yeah.
We've deliberately got about 8 varieties of apple, all that flower about the same time, so they could cross-pollinate.
Right.
But some that start being ready in August, then in September, some in November, some in December.
Oh.
So we can have fresh apples straight off the tree over 4 months. Here again, now this one's an English delicious.
Yeah.
This is one of the first ones to be ready. This will be ready in early September. And again, loads of crop on there. This is called Southern Wood.
Oh, this is so nice. The where? Right, yeah.
Sorry?
The lake in the woods.
Are you going to it now? That sounds like a lovely idea. So you're going for a walk? Taking the girls for a walk? I would imagine as a scent just around the place and just smell it.
Right, okay.
It's lovely. If you get it dried, then it releases the scent.
Right, okay. So it's not edible?
That one, for one, is unusually for this garden, isn't edible. This one here, you would not think that this pondweed was necessarily very exciting. Our Chinese guests looked at this and they went into raptures. You've got hoot and toot here.
Okay.
They didn't call it hoot and toot in Chinese, but in English or Latin it's hoot and toot, and they cook this and use that as a cooked vegetable.
Oh wow.
But it grows rampantly around the margin of a pond.
Okay.
Now this pond, we never fill it up.
Yeah.
It's totally natural rainwater.
Okay.
So over here we have the water off the roof goes into there.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Dwarf form. Now this one is what, 12 foot tall?
Wow.
12 foot tall, and if you look very carefully you'll see this is again a
What did you say? Not mulberry.
mulberry, yes.
Okay.
So this is a mulberry. This tall one here is hazelnut. That is a hazel.
No way.
Yeah, that is hazel, which is about 4 years old.
Yeah.
This is 3 years old.
Wow.
If you come over here, this is 1 year old, and we'll put it right back to the ground, and this is, you see the old stems, we put it back down to the ground with what we call pollarded it. Sorry, coppiced it down to the ground, and you'll see these nice brown leaves just coming up. These are fresh, and they, in the first year, will get up to about here. The second year up there, and in 4 years they'll be as tall as those. Cultivated hazelnuts, which produces slightly bigger nuts. That's called a cob nut. C-O-B, cob nut. Dog Rose has lovely big rose hips, with which to make your rosehip syrup.
Okay.
So we make our own rosehip syrup.
And what's that good for? Rosehip
Syrup, very rich in vitamin C.
Okay.
So this again, apart from being a very, very nice rose bush in the front hedge, it then turns into those lovely big red rose hips, which make the rosehip syrup. I
hope you enjoyed the video and you enjoyed going around the garden to see what you potentially could grow. So get your seeds, get your trays, get your compost, your soil, and start growing. Take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.